Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Wallace here. Last Friday I tweeted and put on the Facebook page about math challenges that were put together by the White Rose Hub and BBC Bite Size. And I just thought I'd go through some of the answers for some of those challenges. I'm going to go through the answers to challenge 1 to 6 because they're the ones that are sort of appropriate for primary school level. If you had a go at the challenges from 7 to 10, then that's fantastic, and well done you for having a go at those. They're a little bit more tricky, and if you need the answers for those, they are going to be available on the White Rose Hub website from today. But I'm going to go through challenges 1 to 6 because I think they're the ones that the majority of you would have had a go at. Now, if we start off by looking at challenge 1, you can see that we are looking at three equations here, three calculations. And we start off with star plus star equals 20, heart minus star equals 7, and then heart minus heart equals triangle. So if we look at the first equation first of all, we've got star plus star equals 20. So we know that 2 stars make 20. So I need to think to myself, what do I need 2 lots of to make 20? And of course my answer would be 10. Now I know that one's quite an easy one and lots of you will have got that quite easily. So once we know that our star is 10, we can then look at our second equation. Now if we look at our second equation, we've got heart minus 10 now because we know our star is 10 equals 7. So heart minus 10 equals 7. So if I use the inverse here, if I go backwards and go 7 plus 10 equals 17. So then we'd have 17 minus 10 equals 7. And we've checked that answer. We know that's right. So heart now equals 17. Then if we look at the third equation, we've got heart minus heart equals triangle. We know now that our heart is 17. So heart 17 minus heart 17 equals 0. So our triangle is a 0. So in terms of the question, can you work out the values of each shape? We can. Star is 10, heart is 17, and triangle is 0. Okay, now if we move on to challenge 2, first thing we need to do, this is a word problem. So the first thing we need to do is read our problem carefully. So it says, Tom has 6 10p coins, and 3 5p coins. He buys an apple for 59p and 2 pencils. He has no money left. How much does a pencil cost? So what we need to do here is look carefully at the important information that we're given. The first piece of important information is that he has 6 10p coins. So straight away I'm doing 6 times 10 here to give me 60p. Then he has 3 5p coins. So again, I'm doing 3 times 5 here to give me 15p. Then I need to add those two together to know how much money he starts with in total. And if I add 60 and 15 together, I get 75 pence. So I know that he starts off with 75 pence. Now I'm going to think about what he does. So he buys an apple for 59p and 2 pencils. Okay, first of all, we're going to take this 59p away. So if we take 59 away from 75, and remember to be careful when you're doing this, think about taking from the tens column into the ones column to be able to subtract. If we do that carefully, we're going to know that he has 16 pence left. Okay, 16 pence left. And then he uses that 16 pence to buy those 2 pencils. So if we divide that 16 pence by 2, we are going to know that 1 pencil cost 8 pence. And I know that some of you will have got that, and well done to those of you that got that right. Okay, now if we go on to challenge 3, and again we need to read it carefully. It says, here are some digit cards, 3, 5, 8. Amir and Donna each make a 3-digit number using all the cards. Amir notices that when he subtracts his number from Donna's number, he gets an answer greater than 300 but less than 400. What numbers did they make? Now, the key is here, when you've got a calculation, when you've got a question that requires you to work out the calculation like this, often it comes down to trial and error. And what I mean by trial and error is making the numbers and trying it out. Now, when I was going through these challenges and I was looking, I tried it at least 4 or 5 times before I got to a correct answer. Okay, some of you will be able to look at the cards and look at the numbers and work it out in your heads. Some of you will need to write down individual calculations. Either way, whichever way it works for you, the best way to do it is trial and error, trying different numbers, seeing which one gives you the correct answer. In this case, you want a number between 300 and 400. When I went through it and I eventually got to an answer, I got 853, 853, and 538. 538, and that gave me an answer of 315. That is the combination that gives you an answer between 300 and 400. So hopefully lots of you got that. Okay, now let's look at challenge 4. Now this involves some shape work and some knowledge of shape. And again, we need to read our question very carefully. So it says 5 identical rectangles are put together to make a large rectangle. The width of one rectangle is 4 centimeters. Work out the perimeter of the large rectangle. Now, excuse me, the first thing that we need to think about is the word perimeter here. So here is the word perimeter. And what we need to know in order to complete this question is that perimeter means the length all the way around the rectangle. So all the way around the rectangle, that is what we're trying to calculate, okay? And what we need to know here also is that the long length of this rectangle, this line here, is worth 3 of the short lengths. And that is going to be important, okay? That 3 short lengths. So we know that this short length is 4 centimeters, okay? So what we're going to think about is the fact the long length is 4 centimeters, add 4 centimeters, add 4 centimeters, or 3 times 4, okay? Which is going to give us a total of 12 centimeters. So we know that each rectangle is 4 centimeters wide and 12 centimeters long, okay? And that is going to be important because then when we go around this large rectangle and find this perimeter around this side here, okay, we are going to need to add all of those calculations, all of those measurements up. We're going to need to add those measurements up, okay? So we're going to say 4 plus 12 is 16. Add another 4 is 20. Okay, so I know that the long length of the large rectangle, is 20 centimeters. Okay, 20 centimeters, this long line here. So now, to go all the way around, I know that I've got 20 here, I've got 20 down here, which is 40, I've got 12 here, which gives me 52, and I've got 12 here, which gives me a total of 64. So just to go over it, I've got 20 plus 12 plus 20 plus 12, which gives me a grand total of 64 centimeters. Okay, let's have a look at challenge 5. And again, we've got some shapes here to work with and some measurements. So let's have a look at this carefully. Again, I can't say it enough. You need to read the question really carefully because everything you need to be able to complete the question is in this information. So you need to make sure that you are reading these questions really, really carefully. Okay, 15 identical blocks are lined up as shown. So we can see we've got the 15 blocks here. Now we are shown that this length here is 112 centimeters. This is clearly going to be important, so we need to keep an eye on that. It says the length of each individual block is twice the width. If all 15 blocks are then laid end to end lengthways, like in this diagram here, what is the total length of the blocks altogether now? So there's a couple of steps to this challenge. Now we can see that these challenges are starting to get a little bit harder, a little bit more complicated. Don't worry if you have found these a little bit difficult. They are getting a little bit tricky at this end, okay? But I will talk you through how to do this one. So if we are looking at this, we've got 15 blocks altogether, but we know that this length is 112 centimeters. Now, in order to work out the length of a block, I need to know the width, because I know that the length is twice the width. So let's think about how we can work out the width here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks is a length of 112 centimeters. So the first thing I'm going to do is 112 divided by 7. Okay, just those 7, because that's the length I'm given. So I'm going to do 112 divided by 7, okay, to work out the width of one block. So when I do my 112 divided by 7, then I get 16. Okay, I get 16. So 112 divided by 7 gives me 16. That means that I then know that the length of a block from top to bottom there, okay, the length of the block is twice the width. So I want to do 2 times 16 here, which is going to give me 32 centimeters. So I know the length of each block is 32 centimeters. Once I know that all 15 blocks are going to be laid out. So then I need to do 15 times 32. Okay, because 15 blocks all laid out, 15 times that 32 centimeters for each block. Now, be careful when you are multiplying 2-digit numbers by 2-digit numbers, because if you do not remember your placeholder, you are going to get your calculation wrong. So you need to make sure that you are remembering that placeholder when you're multiplying 2 digits by 2 digits. And when you do that calculation and you do 32 times 15, you get 480 centimeters. So hopefully you got the correct answer there and you got your calculation right. If you've got your calculations written down, by the way, and you want to send me a photo, that would be amazing. I can have a look over all the amazing maths work that you're doing. That would be great. Right, one more challenge to go. Let's get on to challenge. Okay, so challenge 6 is a little bit of a tricky one. Okay, it took me a little while to work out exactly how to do it. I'm going to try and explain it the best that I can. And I'll show you sort of my thinking and how I managed to get there in the end. Now, Liam has these 3 shapes, and we're showing the shapes up here. He uses them to make different towers. He measures the height of each tower he makes, and that's what we get down here. Liam stacks all 3 shapes to make one tall tower. How tall is the tower? Now, we're given some different bits of information here. So first of all, let's look at this diagram, okay? And when we look at this diagram, we can see that cube plus, what is this, a hexagonal prism. So cube plus hexagonal prism is 15.6 centimeters, okay? Then we know that cube plus cylinder is 18.3 centimeters. Then we know that cylinder plus hexagonal prism is 13.9 centimeters. And then what we want to find out is a cube plus the hexagonal prism plus the cylinder. Okay. Now, what we need to do here is we need to think about what we know and what we can work out. Okay. So we've gone through what we know. We need to use this to our advantage. Okay. What we need to do here is we need to think about how we can work out the height of this cube, because this is the bit that's going to be vital if we're working this out, because we already know this top bit, don't we? We know that this top bit here is 13.9. So to get this total measurement, we need to add the height of the cube, but we need to work out the height of the cube. Okay, so first of all, I was looking at this and I couldn't work it out. I couldn't work out how to work out the height of the cube, and I had to really think about it. And then what I thought is, what if I combined this diagram with this diagram? Then I would have two cubes, a hexagonal prism, and a cylinder. Now I already know the height of the hexagonal prism and the cylinder. So then if I work out the height of two cubes, I can work out the height of one cube. And that is what I did. So the first thing I did was imagine that I was combining these two diagrams at the top here. And I did 15.6 add 18.3. And when I do 15.6 add 18.3, I get 33.9. Okay, 33.9 if you add those two together. And then I can subtract the hexagonal prism and the cylinder to get the height of the two cubes. And when I subtracted my 13.9 from my 33.9, I get 20. So that means the height of two cubes is 20 centimeters, which means the height of one cube is 10 centimeters. So then I know that 13.9, which is this part here, plus the 10 centimeters gives me a tower total height of 23.9 centimeters. Hopefully you got that. It took me a little while to work it out. Hopefully going through these answers has helped, and I've given you a little bit of explanation. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you think. And if it's helpful, I will do it again. I hope you've had fun having a go at these challenges this week. There's new challenges out today. I will put a link on Twitter and on Facebook. And I really want you to carry on challenging yourself with your maths each and every week. Have a great time, guys. Speak to you soon.